Daniel Khalif is still on the run after clinging to the underside of a food delivery van.
Daniel Khalif committed some extremely serious offences.
Some people train for years to master the world of espionage. They go through psychological screening, covert training, language immersion, and operations that require nerves of steel. But others simply jump in without understanding the danger. Today's story is about a British soldier who thought he could play the spying game, a man who believed he could outsmart both sides, enter a world far more complex than he imagined, and control the outcome like a movie hero. But the real spy world isn't glamorous. It's subtle, cold, unforgiving. And this soldier learned that the hard way. This isn't fiction. This is a true story about ambition, secrets, and a dangerous miscalculation. The soldier. Our story begins with a young British soldier stationed overseas. He wasn't elite, he wasn't special forces, and he didn't work in high-level intelligence. At least not officially. But he was sharp, observant, and deeply curious. He admired spies the way some people admire athletes or celebrities. He devoured books on covert operations, watched documentaries, and followed news about intelligence agencies. He told close friends he was meant for something bigger, something beyond standard patrols and routine military duties. He wanted to be the man behind enemy lines, the one gathering secrets, the one living a double life. But he made one massive mistake. He believed wanting to be a spy was the same as being ready to be one. The first mistake. It all started small, as most espionage stories do. He began sharing tiny pieces of non-classified military information with strangers online. Little things about schedules, general equipment, harmless observations from base life. He didn't think it mattered. It wasn't secret. Nothing he said could hurt anyone, or so he believed. But it was never about the information. It was about the vulnerability. Intelligence agencies, especially foreign ones, study behavior. They look for cracks, weaknesses, ego, greed, loneliness, or a desire for attention. And he fit the profile perfectly. To him, he was playing a harmless game. To real intelligence operatives, he had just placed a target on his own back. What he didn't know was that someone was already watching. Someone who recognized ambition mixed with naivety as an opportunity. Who was he really talking to? He believed he was communicating with someone who could help him enter the world of espionage, someone who would recommend him for intelligence work or guide him into a secret operation. But that person wasn't a recruiter. They weren't impressed. They weren't encouraging him because they saw potential. They were patient, strategic, and experienced. They asked simple questions at first, the kind anyone might answer casually. How busy is your base? Do you work with many vehicles? What's the security like? The soldier answered, thinking this was part of an unofficial evaluation, a test he needed to pass, a chance to show he could be trusted. But the truth was harsher. He wasn't being recruited. He was being assessed, the way a predator studies prey. Every message he sent gave the person on the other end more insight into his personality, his weaknesses, and how far he might go, crossing the line. Eventually, the questions became bolder, more specific, more pointed, and the soldier responded with information that wasn't harmless anymore. It still wasn't top secret. It wasn't classified at the highest levels, but it was sensitive, enough to raise alarms the moment British intelligence saw it. What he didn't realize was that intelligence agencies have trigger points. When a soldier begins moving from casual curiosity into actual leaking of operational details, everything changes. Behind the scenes, agencies monitoring digital traffic started building a profile. His behavior, his communications, his motivations. They gathered messages, timestamps, patterns, and the identity of the person he was speaking to. And the more he shared, the deeper he sank. It was no longer a game, it was a crime. He just didn't know it yet. The breakdown. As the soldier got deeper, the tone of the conversation shifted. The person he had been talking to began to push harder. The messages became more direct, the requests more risky. He felt pressured, conflicted, anxious. He started to sense he was dealing with someone he didn't fully understand, someone who wasn't on his side or any side he recognized. He tried to slow the communication. Sometimes he left messages unanswered. Sometimes he tried to pull back. But once you enter the world of espionage, backing out is never easy, because the moment he crossed the line, he became compromised. And compromised people rarely walk away clean. The operation, British intelligence launched an internal operation to investigate him quietly. They didn't confront him immediately. They didn't warn him. They didn't move him or question him suddenly. They watched and waited. Behind the scenes, agents monitored his messages. They tracked where he went, who he met, and how he communicated. Every bit of evidence built a stronger case, one that had to be airtight before anyone made a move. When the time came, the confrontation was swift. It wasn't dramatic. There was no movie-style raid or chase through alleyways. Just a quiet moment when officers walked up to him, identified themselves, and informed him that he was under arrest for leaking sensitive details from inside the British military. The entire illusion, the fantasy of becoming a spy, fell apart in seconds. The aftermath. Reality hit him like a wall. He hadn't been on the verge of being recruited. He hadn't been impressing anyone. He hadn't been preparing for a life of undercover missions. He had been manipulated, one message at a time, by someone who saw him as nothing more than a naive source. He was charged for leaking sensitive operational information, enough to endanger lives, disrupt military planning, and violate national security regulations. His career ended instantly. His reputation shattered. His future closed off. He learned the truth in the harshest way possible. Espionage isn't a hobby. It isn't a game. It isn't a shortcut to glory. It's a world built on discipline, loyalty, and psychological strength, qualities he mistook for curiosity and ambition. And in that world, one wrong message can destroy everything. Stories like this remind us how dangerous the spy world can be for anyone who steps in without knowing the rules. One wrong message, one wrong contact, and a life can change forever. If you're into real cases like this, stay connected. Follow for more true stories, hidden operations, and the kind of behind-the-scenes events that reveal how the intelligence world really works. There's much more to explore.